So the Iowa State robot has to rotate just like so many robots do when they start out sideways. And no problem rotating with this Iowa State robot. And the Iowa State robot basically straddled that crater, didn't have any problems coming across the obstacle area. Okay. The Mississippi State robots, I mentioned earlier that these students don't know the orientation of their robots. They don't know which direction they're going to be facing. Actually, the digging robot on the Mississippi State side was actually behind the robot that is designed to dump the final material. And so the dumper robot had to get out of the way in order for the digging robot to come out and make it across the obstacle field. The lower camera views on your screen right now are the views that the students can see in the control room. The students are not here in the arena with us. They're not here under the tent with us. The students are in closed trailers behind the tent, and there they are on the screen. The students, the Mississippi State robot there looks to be a little bit dug in. Let's see if they can recover from that. They're dropping their digging mechanism. I have seen robots in the past actually push themselves out of sticky situations using their digging mechanism. This crushed volcanic rock is not that easy to drive in, as we've seen several times. Hopefully Mississippi State can get their robot unstuck. They have another robot, so maybe that other robot can come and help out. Iowa State on the right side of the screen has made it into the digging area. It seems like the digging robot needs to be pulled backwards, possibly, rather than pushed, because it's kind of facing in the direction of the wall. Okay, there's a hole. I didn't even realize the Iowa State robot was digging, but you can see the hole left behind. So these robots, there are so many parameters that the judges are looking at while these robots are competing, and one of the things that at least one of the judges in there is looking at is how much dust is being lofted into the air while these robots are digging. And if your robot lofts up a bunch of dust while it's digging, that actually deducts some points. That actually gives you a lower score. And so this Iowa State robot just did some digging there, and it was so stealthy we didn't even realize it was digging. Now you can see the Iowa State belt, their conveyor belt was moving, but I didn't see anything come off of that conveyor belt, so I'm not sure where that material ended up that has now left a hole in the digging area. All right, Mississippi State, they haven't given up. They still have 6 minutes and 20 seconds. They're pushing. They're pushing. Look at that. Yeah! Let's hear it for teamwork. Okay, 6 minutes left. There's time. So earlier in Mississippi State's first run, they had their little black Andy robot out there, and this Andy robot was supposed to be going back and forth between the digger and the dumper and transmitting the rocks back and forth, but Andy actually got stuck right away. And in the first run, that same thing happened. Basically, this other robot came out and gave Andy a little push to try and help him out of a sticky situation. Okay, now Mississippi State has to dig. There's the students in the Mississippi State control room typing, I don't want to say frantically, they are intense. They are intensely typing onto their, oh, I love the brushes. Look at these green brushes that are on the middle of the chain of the Mississippi State robot. That is inventive and creative. and inexpensive, I'll bet. So those brushes help kind of clean the chains as they go past, because those chains are actually dipping down into this crushed volcanic rock material. All right, now we need to get the Mississippi State digger moving. It seems like it's trying to, but it's not moving the way that it should for some reason. 4.5 minutes remaining for Mississippi State and Iowa State. It's really hard to see what's going on with the Iowa State robot. We don't see any material being deposited onto that conveyor belt, which should be coming up and over that inverse J-shaped channel. Okay, now we're moving. Okay, 4 minutes. 4 minutes. 6 minutes have elapsed, and we have 4 minutes left. Okay, they're digging. Mississippi State is digging. Okay, don't try and do it. Don't try and dig too hard. You can bind up your system. This stuff is not easy to dig in. So, oh, you can see the Mississippi State conveyor belt moving. Oh, the robot that is behind the digger is actually receiving the material onto a flat plate that has holes. It's a mesh plate. And the Mississippi State's conveyor belt on their digger is also a mesh material, so that the loose material, the loose powdery material, falls right through that mesh, and only the rocks will get transferred onto the second robot's plate. Just under 3 minutes remain for both of these teams. I'm not sure what is going on with the Iowa State robot. There's a lot of things are going well, but there's one thing that we don't see happening that we expect to see happening, and that's the material being deposited onto the conveyor belt. It looked like they made a hole earlier, and I'm really confused as to what happened to all that material that used to be in that hole. Mississippi State may be having more issues with their bucket ladder system, which is a series of buckets that are attached to two chains. There's a good close-up view of the buckets and the chains. There's another hole underneath the Iowa State robot. With just under 2 minutes, I think Iowa State is going to come back and run their conveyor and see what happens. And on the left side, Mississippi State is bringing their receiving robot, and what it's basically got is a big pancake flipper. It's going to lift that thing up and over the top of this robot, and hopefully deposit some rocks onto the hopper. In the last minute and a half of this competition run, the second of two runs for both of these teams, they are now attempting to deposit onto the hopper. There's Mississippi State lifting up its flipper, and Iowa State's conveyor belt is definitely running, but it's hard to see whether anything came out of it. There it goes, Mississippi State. With purpose, with an exclamation point, Mississippi State threw that flapper over the back of the robot. Hard to see if anything came out. There's definitely a pebble right there sitting on top of the hopper. Hard to see if anything else is laying on the hopper, though, from this angle. With 20 seconds remaining, I'm guessing that's all these teams are going to be able to do. As we get another look at the Mississippi State's digging robot, their buckets were spinning for a while, and some of those buckets Let's give them a hand. Mississippi State University and Iowa State University. Really great job, really great attempt for both of these teams. Iowa State looked like they dug some holes. Not sure what happened to all that material. Mississippi State, we saw some really full buckets on that Mississippi State robot as it was digging, and then the digging stopped. So both of these teams should be proud of what they've done and gotten this far, even though it doesn't look like they've gotten a significant amount of material onto the scale. So as Mississippi State and Iowa State students come in okay, the Iowa State students are happy. Look at that. Look, they got a rock. Look, rock. They got a rock. Well, where was it? Well, it was right there. The conveyor belt just didn't. They are so happy. I love that body language. They're giddy with excitement. So the Iowa State robot definitely pulled out a rock for sure. And the Mississippi State robot definitely had several buckets full of this regolith material, this simulated regolith.